Okay, welcome everyone. I am Teresa from Teresa Silhouette Spot for all things art. I love sharing art from my heart, and we are painting a clay pot tonight and the dish. My pot is much bigger than yours because I paint a little quicker. And with my pot being bigger, when I paint on a Zoom, I'll use a bigger canvas, or in this case, a bigger clay pot, so you guys can see it better. So this is a sample of what we're painting. We don't have the blue, but we're gonna make do with it. I don't know if we're gonna do the bugs. I shouldn't even showed you them. But we are gonna do these little filler flowers and the daisies, and we're gonna paint the top and the bottom of the plate. So we are gonna start with our plate or dish or whatever you wanna call it on the bottom, and the band around the top of the clay pot, and we're going to paint that with some white, and I'm going to just add, so I'll change my camera so I can show you guys what I'm doing. There we go. So I have all my colors out, a little messy, but I have my colors out. So I have this green, the pale yellow, the hot pink, it's called royal fuchsia, this burnt umber, and some white. So I'm just going to use my brush, and I'm going to scoop some of my white over here. You could do another pile of white because I give you guys extra white. And I'm just going to use like one little brush stroke of green, and I'm going to mix that into my white.
Teresa, I don't have pink.
I don't do
pink. What color do you have?
A dark brown, a light brown, a green, and a gold.
Green and oh, I gave you the sienna, not the pink. Okay, let me change my sienna. Let me change my pink to sienna. Okay. I'm still making this light green. You can't see it. There it is. Okay, and let me get some sienna. Or I have her here. Much tomato red. This is spoilable. This will work. Okay. Mine's a little more orange than your guys's, but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to take, we don't have to paint the bottom. If you guys have enough paint, you can paint the bottom later. We're going to paint around the edge of the dish and the inside of the dish. And then we're going to paint the band only around the top. And we're doing that with, I created this little bit of light green. If you want yours a little bit darker, you can add just a smidge of the dark brown to it, and that'll make it a little bit of a darker green, but that's up to you. So, and you will see painting these trays, these terracotta pots, the paint goes really far and dries really quick. These pots just like suck it up in no time. So if you didn't mix enough paint, you just keep pulling out some white or squeezing out of that bottle. So I put it in that bottle and mixing up some more as you go. And again, mine is a bit bigger than yours, just so you can see it. If you plan on putting these outside, even if you plan on using them inside, it's probably a good idea to spray them, like I always say, with the Krylon or the Rust-Oleum matte finish in a can. So the brand is either Rust-Oleum or Krylon. And I like to use the matte finish, and it comes in a spray can. And you can get that at the hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, Michael's. And you'll see when we get painting these into painting the flowers, that the flowers are kind of simple, but just by changing up the colors, you can do this on other pots if you wanted to, or other surfaces, it's up to you. But just if you change the colors that you use, it gives the flowers a completely different look. And you can really paint them anywhere, or have a whole set. Maybe get a couple of pots like this that are different sizes. I tend to be a little frugal, and because I can paint, I will I try and buy terracotta pots as much as I can if I see them on sale or end of season or whatever it is. And then I paint them all different colors and designs, even simple designs. Even I'll do a solid with polka dots or a solid with stripes. Because flower pots, if you like indoor plants, flower pots can be so expensive. And here I take these terracotta pots, different sizes, and just paint different designs on them. And for like less than half the price, you have a beautiful flower pot.
You gotta have a big gap here. That's why I had to do that quarter branch.
Okay, there we go. I put you guys on mute. If you have any questions, just unmute yourself and speak up. I did this one in person Monday, Monday night at the library. It went really well. Everyone's looked completely different, and everyone's looked really nice. Okay. That's that. That's it. That aside. I'm going to start with my band. I try to make I think our brushes are small enough that I try to make this line here kind of straight and not go into the bottom where the pot is. If you need to use your brush on the chisel edge down there a little bit, like stand it up like this, so it's not so flary, that's fine, just to get that line in there so you know where to stay with your paintbrush. That's fine. And even when I mix my paint, I don't like totally mix it so it's just one single color. I don't mind. Well, that was a little too white right there. I don't mind having the variations in my paint when I'm doing something like this. So that's why I say to just like scoop it and give it a couple of swirls. This way, your paint is not completely one-dimensional in one color. Empty. This way too, you don't have to worry about, did I mix enough? Did I not mix enough? Because you're not mixing it to just completely give it like one completely new color. No, it's going to have some variations in it, some striations. And that's why it's easier to then, as you go, mix it. And there we go. So I did my band. My line is fairly straight. I wouldn't say it's perfect. There is no perfect. And there we go. So I did my dish and my band. And now I'm going to set this down here for a minute, and I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to get yours done. And then when you are done with that, we're going to move to the little round brush, and you can put your larger brush in some water. Okay, if you're done with that part, that's great. If you're not, you can finish that part up later, because that you can pretty much do on your own. We're going to leave that as is. Now I'm turning mine upside down. And now I'm going to get out my liner brush. My liner brush is different than your guys, but you want to use the smaller brush. I'm going to put mine in a little water. You don't have to. Mine had crazy hair. If yours has crazy hair, dip it in some water. Otherwise, if your brush is in nice shape, which it should be because it's brand new, you can just use it like that. Okay. And you can do this one of two ways. I like to pull down. So that's why mine is upside down. If you're more comfortable pushing up like this, that's up to you. But it is easier to work with it on its side or upside down than it is standing up, because we are working from the bottom. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this green on my brush. And then I'm just going to randomly, and it's so hard to be random, you guys, I know. It's so hard to be random, but I'm just going to randomly start putting in stems. Some thick ones, some thin ones. And the more pressure I put on my brush, that's how it gets thicker. Or if I put light pressure on my brush, it's thinner. And we want them to cross over. And yes, I know it looks like craziness right now, but there is a method to my madness. And we are going to just keep adding lines. So these are going to be stalks, flower stems, blades of grass, whatever. And some of them can cross over. Some of them can go straight. Some are taller, some are longer. We don't want to come all the way up to here because we want to leave room. We're going about halfway up. And I'm just turning and pulling out these little stems, and occasionally I will cross over. Occasionally I will put a lot of pressure on my brush and have it be thick. And just random with crossing each other over. And we're just going to move around our pot like that. And it does not look pretty, and that's okay. And that's what I have. Just try to not be too perfect. You know, we're not using a ruler. We're not measuring them out. We're just randomly, if you see a space where you're missing one, go back in and add another. I have these two short, kind of chubby ones here, so I'm going to add a tall one there. And that's what we're going to do for now. Okay, let's set this upside down now for real. Okay, about 1 more minute. I'm judging by the people I can see. I can kind of tell when they're done and ready for the next step. If I am moving too fast, speak up and I'll slow down. But otherwise, I'm just kind of like judging by who I can see. And when they're idle, I can pretty much judge that they've been, that they're ready for the next step. So, and then don't forget, this is being recorded. And I will send Miss Angela the recording, so then you guys will have it. So if you need to hop off, you have something to do, you have somewhere to be, that's totally fine, because I will send Miss Angela the recording and you guys will have it. So now I'm going back to my larger brush. So if it's not washed out all the way, it's fine, because we're still in the green family. You just want it dry. So I rinsed mine out and then I gave it a squeeze in my paper towel, and we're going back to this brush and we're going back to our green. And we want to get a decent amount of paint on the brush, on the end of the brush, but we're only going to be flicking it on here, and it's literally a flick. So if you didn't have your flower pot upside down before, I really suggest making it upside down now and holding it, and watch me for a couple of seconds. I'm just literally just taking my brush, I'm laying it along the edge, and I'm giving it a little flick and a push. I get some more paint, and I'm giving it a little flick and a push. This is setting back the stems. So now our stems are not just floating around the bottom of our pot, and they appear to be behind the grass. And that's it. I'm just putting a little bit of paint on the edge of my brush and giving it a little flick. It's not even a stroke. The only part, whatever the brush touches, is where the paint goes. And I probably get like 3 flicks, and then I have to pick up more paint. And I'm just turning my flower pot and working my way around it. If you have a spot you think you like maybe missed, you can go back to it. This is just giving the illusion. We have some grass coming up the bottom of our pot, and it sets the stems back. And it's just a nicer finish on the bottom than just having our stems hanging out. Let me show you guys. I'll turn the camera around. Okay. And that's the beginning. It's not deep. It just gives a little bit of grassy illusion and puts our stems in the background a little bit, and they're not just like hanging out on the bottom. And there's no rhyme or reason to my stems, to my grass. They're just, oh, there's a little bit of a blank spot. I could have put another one in there, but that's okay. Some crisscross, some are fat, some are skinny. And when we start adding the flowers and whatnot, you're going to see how it's all going to start to come together. Okay. I'm going to rinse my brush again out of the green. Okay. These even make really cute gifts. You get a 4-inch, even it's a 4-inch annual out of when you get those plant flats, and paint a really pretty like 4-inch pot or a 6-inch pot and put it in there, maybe even put a few rocks on top, and you have a beautiful little gift if you have to, you know, just go into somebody's home where you want to bring a little something, something. Okay. So now I'm using my big brush again, but I'm going to use the end of my brush because this one's fatter than my liner brush. We're going to use the hard handled end of the brush. And I want you to kind of visualize your pot being in 4 sections: front, back, right, left. Okay. And we're going to use the back of our brush. We're going to draw little circles for the center of some of our flowers. And I'm just going to get some paint on there. And if you want to watch me at first, that's fine. And I just randomly chose this one. And I'm going to put a center on here for my flower. Now, don't forget, my pot is bigger. My centers and my flowers are going to be much bigger than yours. Okay. So let's just say I'm going to call this the front. So now I'm going to turn it around. And I'm calling this the back. And it in no way has to be perfect or lined up or measured or anything. So now I have, I don't know if you can see, but I have one there and one here. And then I'm going to try and eyeball up the middle here. And I'm going to put another one here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it over. And now I'm going to basically find the middle here. And I'm going to put another one here. So now we have these 4 dots. I'm going to clean my brush. So I know it all looks the same to you, but I basically have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And that is the layout of our larger flowers that look like, let me show you without it, that look like this. Okay, there's the center. I'm going to show you how we're going to make these petals and bring them in. And that is our larger flower that looks like that or that. And we added a little white highlight afterwards, but we're not there yet. And because of the band, you can probably leave it on its side now. If your dots are up high enough, they won't rub off, but you need to judge that for yourself wherever you're painting on your surface. So once you have your dots laid out, we're going to go to our yellow now. And we're going to get a decent amount of yellow on my brush. So I have a decent amount of yellow on both sides of my brush. And then I'm just going to pick up a corner in the white for now. Okay. When I do these flowers, I think of them as the face of a clock. And even now today, I mean, I'm teaching you guys, so I'm doing it, but I do it, even if I was painting for myself or painting for an order or painting for whatever, I kind of have it in my head now, and I do it the same way I'm going to do it right now, like a clock. So I'm going to put my brush up here, about, you want it a little bit of ways from your dot, maybe an inch, depending on where your dot is and the height, how much space you have between your lip and your dot for the center of your flower. And I'm just going to put my brush there. I'm going to stand it up and I'm going to slide it down to the middle. So that's 12 o'clock. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put my brush, I'm going to put some pressure on it, and I'm going to just push it to the center. And now we have 6 o'clock. And it's okay, like I touched the brown, it's okay. I have brown in my flower now, that's totally fine. So I have 12, 6, I'm going to do 9. I'm going to do 3. Okay, go back into my yellow, maybe pick up a little bit more white now. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to fill in 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11. And there's our first flower. Let me show you again. This time I think I'm going to pick up a little bit more white because that just changes the look of it a little bit, but that's up to you. You can make them all yellow, more white. It's up to you. So again, here's my second dot. I'm going to stand my brush up. I'm going to push down and then I'm going to slide it to the dot in the center. That's my 12. That's my 6, 9, and 3. Then I'm going to go back in. I'm going to do 1, 2, 4, 5,
Can't get mine.
7, 8, 10, and 11. And that's one flower. And then that's the second flower. And you can see from this one, I made it a lot more white. And this one is a lot more yellow. And we're going to do that for all 4. If your petals start getting, you have one yet, a little wonky, or your brush is all, I say this all the time, your brush is all flared out. My brush is a little bit of a mess right now. I'm just going to wipe off the paint and start over. I don't have to go into the water. I just want to fix its hair. And now I'm going to pick up some yellow again because all the pushing, and especially on the clay pots have a lot of dust. They're very dry. It really messes up your brush. So my brush is kind of better now. And I'm going to go back now. I'm going to do this one again. Now I'm doing 12, 6, 9, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11. My petals are not all the same size. They're not all even. And it's okay. This time I think I'm going to add a little bit of this, this raw sienna to the corner instead of the white. So I picked up yellow. I have yellow in my brush because I've had yellow in my brush. And now I'm just putting a little bit of the corner of this sienna on here. And doing the same thing. Going to pick up some more yellow. 9, 3, and then 1, 2. Oh, a little something in my paint. 4, 5. Get more sienna. 7, 8, 9, 10. And don't worry about if you cover up your center, because we're going to go back and fix it. We put the center in to begin with, so we have a point to go to bring all our petals to. But if yours has gotten, yeah, even me, I've gone over mine a little bit. We can go back in and redo the center with the back of the brush before we add our little white dots. And I have 4 of these daisy flowers now around my pot. This one I added a little bit of a corner into that sienna. This one's mostly the yellow, and then this one I did mostly white. And now I'm going to wash my brush. So honestly, you guys, I don't know when the last time I went out to a movie was. I used to be a giant, giant movie buff. I used to love movies. I used to go to the movies every week. But then, things change, priorities change, budgets change, all kinds of stuff. So I haven't been to the movies in ages. And then on Sunday we went because I just had to go see the new Top Gun movie. And it was really, really good. I think they did a great job with the sequel. So I was like, oh, good. Plus, I wouldn't want to go out and spend, it's crazy money to go to the movies now, you guys, crazy money. So I was glad I enjoyed it. And I wasn't like, oh, that was a waste. So that was good. Okay, so I have my larger daisies here. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back into my brown with my handle. And now I'm going to just put much smaller dots, and we're going to put them down here in between our daisy flowers. And pretty much now I'm just kind of touching the pot with my brush. I didn't make a bigger circle. I just went and put a dot, and I put it basically in between the other two flowers. So between there, between there, between there. So now we have 4 more dots again, like we had to begin with. Now you guys can use, my pot is bigger. But if you guys want to use your liner brush for this, you can. Let me grab some scrap paper. There we go, this will work. So let me give you a dot. There we go. If you want to use your liner brush, I think I have the liner brush that you guys have here. Yes, I do. Okay. So I have my dot. I'm going to go into the burnt sienna, the orange that we have, and I'm going to get it on my brush. And then I'm just going to come over here and I'm just going to swipe it in the side, just like lay it around in the side of my white. So after I get it with the orange, I'll show you again. Then I'm going to get it with the white. And we're going to do the same thing down here in these little dots. And again, because we're using this different brush, it's going to give it a different look. So I'm going to do 12, 6, 9, 3. And again, I'm going to pick up more orange. I'm going to come over here right by the side of my puddle and pick up some white. And then I'm going to do 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to go in here, and that's what we're going to do on these little dots here. So we're going to do the same thing, only this time we're using the burnt sienna.
Teresa, that's the lighter brown?
The lighter brown, yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Lighter brown with a little bit of white. You want to side swipe when you load your brush with this color. You want to come over here and side swipe on the white. And we're just going to go in here and we're going to add in again, push and into the center. And gives it a whole new different look using this brush, but using basically the same technique. This one I put a little bit more white in. I like these colors. I like the soft yellow and the soft green and the browns. It's different than what I usually paint with the pinks and the really bright greens, but I like it. So there's 2. And 12, 6, oh, forgot my white. 3, 9, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me see, I think I have one more. Yep. One more. Come over here, get some little white on the side. And then pull my 12, my 6, my 3. Oh, that was my 9. So that was my 3. And then put these ones in between. That's what we have. Show you what we're going to do. I'm going to show you guys what I have so far. I got something on there. That's okay. I'll fix that. So this is what we have so far. Very earthy colors. We have the 2 bigger daisies. Then we made the little smaller daisy-like flowers in a different color. So that's what we have. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to make a little second like cone flower with our liner brush. So I just mixed some of the light brown and the yellow and added some white to it. just to have another color. You can use the light brown as is. You can use the yellow as is. You can make these completely white, whatever you want to do. I just made like this pale orange, and I'm going to be using my liner brush. Oop. So I drew this, let me put this up here. I drew this little diamond shape on here. I don't know if you guys can see it on my paper. There it is. And we're going to use our liner brush. And this is just a series of little like, just little dabs. So we're going to start with one on the top, and then we're going to add two to the side. So we're almost going to have just like that, almost like a crown, the three of them. And then we're just going to keep adding side to side, picking up paint every time and getting a little bit bigger, and then getting a little bit smaller again. So I started with the three on top, and I know this doesn't, you're probably saying, what is she doing? I don't even know what that is. So I started with the three on top. Let me, you know what? I'm going to use the dark so you guys can see it better. I started with three on top like that, just three little lines. And then we build on it. So we go left, right, getting a little bigger, left, right. And then we go left, right, but we're going to come in. You can fill that in if you miss, and get a little smaller. So the end shape is similar to a diamond. I'll show you guys again. One in the middle, side, side. Okay. And then we go left, right, or right, left. It's up to you. But we build on here, and we want it to get a little wider. But then we want to come in and shorten them up and get a little narrower. Okay, now I'll show you on the pot. And these again are going to be all, oh, my paint dried, all different heights. And you can put these wherever you think you have a space and you want to put these, that's where you're going to put one. So I'm just going to put one up here. I'm going to start up here with my three. And then I'm going to keep building left, right, left, right, left, right. And then get a little bit narrower and attach it to the stem. Does that make more sense now? I'll put another one over here. I'll pick up a little bit of white with this one. So 1, 2, 3. That's my start. Okay. Pick up more paint. I'm going to go to the left and to the right. I'm kind of making V's. And they're wider, wider. And then I want to get shorter and shorter and connect it to a stem. And I'm just going to start adding these in where I think I need them. And I'm making these yellow, and I'm making them lighter, and I'm making them with a little bit of white and attaching them to the stem. We're not done with these yet. We're going to have to go back and add a little bit of green. Let me do another one with this light brown. Mine is a more of an orangey color than yours. But so 1, 2, 3. And we come in here left. And we're just, I mentioned it looked like a parquet floor the other night, because we're just doing these V's. They're coming in, and then we get shorter and we attach it to our stem like that. And these don't even have to be way up there. You can put it here if you want. I put one down low there. And I'm not even going to wash my brush. I'm going right from the lighter yellow, the lighter brown to more of the yellow. I got a little bit of string on there. And I'm just doing my V's. V, 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 V. And they just get stubby as you go down. And you can put as many or as few as you want. You don't want to put like way too many, but sometimes like I feel like this one is too long and it's sticking up here. So instead of putting it up here way up top, I'm going to start right at the top and touch on it. So I'm already on the stem, but this stem was a little too long for me. So I'm just chopping it down basically by adding a flower to the top. There you go. And put some random ones of those around your pot. And we're not done. We still have all our little details to add, but those will go fairly quickly. I just put a couple in, almost like in each section, I guess. Here we go. There's a few more minutes, maybe 2 more minutes for this. And we're going to clean up our liner brush and let me get a little fix that. There we go. Okay. So I hope you guys have some nice fresh white, either left in the bottle or on your plate or your palette, whatever it is you're using. So we're going to go to our liner brush and some nice fresh white. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, this is the time if you need to fix your brown centers on your big flowers. this is the time to do that. So I'm going to go and pick up some fresh brown and fix my insides, my buds. Oh no, my flower centers, they're not buds, my flower centers. Which I will, if we have time, I will show you guys how to do a bud as well. These daisy buds are easy to do. They're almost like a half flower, sort of. Yeah, so I fixed my brown centers. So you have a minute, if you need to fix your brown centers, you can as well. And then we will go to our liner brush and some fresh white. Okay. So I have my liner brush. I have fresh white. It looks messy, but it's nice and white over here. I'm not going to go on that side. I'm going to go on this side. I'm going to get some nice fresh white on my liner brush. And we just want to go in and add a few highlights to all of our flowers and one side of them. So, okay, we'll start with this little one. So I'm just going to lightly add some white to the petals on that side. And the same thing here. Lightly add some white on that side. And again, with this one, I'm just lightly adding some white. And this is big one, this helps when it's bigger. I'm just adding these little white highlights to one side of each of my flowers. And basically, each little stroke, every time we pushed our brush down and then brought it to the center, even with these ones, our little V's, it's one little petal. So I'm just going in and I'm adding white highlights to the side. And I'm just turning it around as I go to each side. I mean, to the one side, to each petal on one side of my flowers. Even this one that's mostly white, when you add fresh white to it, you can really see it. And then this one I missed. Basically, each paint stroke is a flower petal. And we're highlighting one side of each of our petals. If you don't like doing the one side, like technically it's supposed to be because that's where the light comes from. So one side is highlighted and one side is not. So at any time when you're looking at the pot, one side would be getting the light. If when you looked at it, you're like, I don't really love it like that, it's okay. If you want to go in and highlight every petal, like I just did on my daisy, you go right ahead and do that too. Okay. But if you wanted to keep it to the one side, you can. It's easier to add than it is to take away. And while I have the fresh white, I'm going to go in and just put a couple, well, 3 actually, fresh white dots inside the centers of my larger flower. So I'm not even gonna clean my brush. It has the white on it. I don't care. I'm gonna go into the green. I'm gonna put some green on my brush. And these ones that we did that are diamond shaped, look like a V or whatever, I'm just coming down to the bottom and I'm going to put one green line and another green line to connect them. So here's my little flower. I'm putting one green and almost like I'm adding a bottom V, and the bottom V is cupping the bottom of the flower and attaching it to the stem. So I'm just going in here again with side to side and putting it to the stem. If yours are a little bit higher, just make your V's a little longer so they attach and pull down the stem a little bit. I'm just doing the one side of the V and the other side of the V to the stem. If you get these, the clay pots suck up the paint, and it's hard to get it off. It's not like other surfaces where you can wipe it off if you catch it quick enough or whatever. I probably should have said this before, but if you get paint, like say you dropped your brush or you splattered some paint up here or something, I'm going to show you two ways you can fix that. If it's down in here among the stems and the grasses and the flowers, we'll be able to add a leaf. If it's up in here and it's not too big, I can show you how we can fix that up there. So I'm going to continue with my green, and I'm going to take it and I'm just going to start adding in some little leaves here and there to my stems. Doesn't have to be a lot. And I'm basically just taking my brush and I'm pushing down and down and adding some leaves onto my flower stems. And because it's the same color, it'll look weird now, but when it dries, they'll blend. I don't have to put too many. I'm just maybe going around and putting a couple on some stems just to fill in a little bit. I didn't put many at all. Like I think this one actually has too many. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'll just make it a little bit of a different leaf. There we go. Like I said, these flowers, you can mix these colors up. I had to have the pink mistakenly, sorry. But you can use a bright yellow, a light yellow, orange, a light blue, pink, light pink, dark pink, and do these, both these techniques. This technique is the same, and these little guys, and do a variety of different designs on greeting cards, on paper bags, on other clay pots, whatever it is. And it'll look really pretty. And like I said, so if you have paint down here and, or you missed, you got a splotch of paint or something, there was something on my, oh, see down here? There was something on here. I don't know where that came from. It was on there when I bought it. So I can just go in here and add another leaf just to cover it up. That's okay. I'm not gonna fret about it. So if you have paint on there somewhere that you got it on there, which you didn't mean to do, add a leaf, or whichever color you want. I'm gonna do it in the white. I like to add these groupings of dots. 3 little dots together and random. And I don't know about you, and I don't know what it is about me, but I think they really then bring your design to another level just by adding with the back of the brush random clusters of dots. And you can do them in any color you want. I'm even going to do them around the band. I'm not really thinking about where they're going. I'm just doing 3 little dots around. Sometimes they're above the flowers. Sometimes they're within the flowers. And you can put as many or as few as you want. And then I like to do them, and you can do them with your big brush or with your little brush around the top too. But I might do, because we're here in green, I might do around the top in the dark brown. Yeah, I like that. And it's just these clusters of brown dots. And I don't try and make them even, because then they have to all be even. And you can make them even if you want, but I'm just going to put them randomly, some higher, some lower, and work my way, maybe this one in the middle, work my way around. There's my brick paint, the pot band on the top. And as I turn it, I'm going to try and be conscious to not put my big thumb in the dots that I already painted on the one side. There's something about these little dots. I don't know what it is. It just, I don't know. It makes it look finished, I guess. Because if you weren't finished, why would you be dotting up your pot? There we go. Did my rim. I might even go back, since I have this paint, and add a few of these other dark ones around. Okay. I think I might call it done. Oh, Oops. So there we go. I'm gonna try not to mess it up. So there we go. I did the dots around the top. I did some in white and brown along the pot. And then I have my 3 different flowers. I'm gonna show you what it looks like in the dish. And there's the flower pot. Okay. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? I'm going to stay on, but I am going to stop the recording, you guys. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed painting the flower pot.